Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Cryptic Critiques. Today we're going to be looking at Moon Knight. Now, I was very excited for the show before it came out, and after watching it all 6 episodes, I do have to say it is really good. It might even be the best MCU show. It's obviously not better than Daredevil, but I think it's better than majority of the Marvel shows. Before I talk about the show, I'm going to say that Oscar Isaac is great in this. I think he's an amazing choice for Moon Knight. And especially in episode 5, I think his performance is literally amazing and deserves an award. And if you seen anything on it, if you watch the show, you'd probably agree with me. If you've seen people talking about it, a lot of people are saying this, that his performance is just amazing, and I think it is really good. It's probably the best out of the whole show. Now, of course, Khonshu, Layla, and Arthur Harrow also are really amazing. I just don't think they're as good as Oscar Isaac in this show, because I just think he blows it out of the water, and he's a great choice for Moon Knight. But now let's actually get into the show, and the first thing I really wanted to talk about was the CGI. Now, in the first few episodes, like the first 2 or 3 episodes, the CGI, it's good, but some points it does get a little choppy, especially when Moon Knight tries to use his cape. It does look a little weird, but, capes have never really looked good. But it does get better, especially in the last episode, it's good. I think when they show, the gods, like Khonshu in his actual form, then he looks good. It's just some moments, and you might be able to tell this, but it's mainly in the first episode and the second episode, where it just looks, oh, that wasn't that good, but you can overlook it pretty easily. And I also think the pacing of the show is surprisingly good. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything, but when you get to episode 5, it kind of leaves you, there's a lot more left to do for the show, and the last episode is only 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and so I was a little worried that, it's not going to do that good of a job of showing everything else. I thought the end was going to be a little lackluster, but I do have to say it was really good. The ending was great. I think it was paced pretty well, and now you can make an argument for the first few episodes being a little slow, and yeah, I kind of see that too, but I still think it does a great job. And also, the show, people have been saying it's the darkest MCU show, and I would agree with them, obviously not counting Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, any of those shows, but I don't think it's dark as in, a lot of people die and it's very gory like the Punisher. It's dark in a different way. You'll see it when you get to episode 5. I'm not going to spoil it for you, so don't worry, but once you watch that episode, you'll know what I'm talking about. It kind of takes a pretty serious turn, and when I was first watching, I was like, wow, they really put that in a Disney show, but I think it does a good job, and I'm excited to see where Moon Knight goes next, and if they do any more things like this, any dark type shows, like the Midnight Suns, for example. Now, one last thing I wanted to say about the story is that it does get a little confusing sometimes, especially if you don't know a lot about Moon Knight and his DID, but I won't say what happens, obviously, but after the 4th episode, you were probably gonna be like, whoa, okay, what just happened? Because it's a pretty big thing that happens at the end of the 4th episode, and then really all of the 5th episode. It just gets a little, okay, that was weird. I still don't fully understand it, and especially at the end of the 6th episode, the last episode, it's still, it doesn't give you a complete answer of what actually happened. It just kind of leaves it up to interpretation, which I personally like. Some people might not like it, but I do think it fits Moon Knight very well, because a lot of his comics actually just go on this and be like, oh, what's real and what's not real. So if you like that type of stuff, you'll like this show. If you don't, you might be like, oh, that was a little weird, I don't really understand that. But I just watch a New Rockstars video. They'll explain it to you probably, but I still think it was a really cool choice, and it was really cool to see, especially as a Moon Knight comic fan. I do have to say, now this might be a recency bias since I literally just watched the final episode, I do think this is probably the best and my favorite MCU show. I know I said Hawkeye was, I said Loki was, but I think this is just so much better than both of those. I still like Hawkeye more than Loki, just saying, but I just think this one's better than both, and I'm very excited to see Moon Knight in the future. Okay, one last thing. I know, I'm sorry, this is towards the end, and it doesn't really fit here, but I just remembered about this. I think the show does an amazing job at showing Mark's dissociative identity disorder, and I'm obviously not the biggest expert on it, so don't really take my word on if it's very accurate or not. But I have seen somebody talk about it, about like who has DID, and they've said it was pretty accurate. I also just think it's really cool to see him switch between Steven and Mark. But anyway, let's just get on to the ranking. I'm going to give Moon Knight an 8 out of 10. I know this is probably pretty high for an MCU show, but I do think it is the best, and it is really good. I think if you love Marvel, if you just like superheroes, you should watch it. If you like Moon Knight, of course, watch it. But even if you don't really like Marvel or care about it that much, I just think it's a great show. Something to pass the time. It's not too long. It's 6 episodes, all barely an hour each. And it does a really good job at just being a good superhero show. I was gonna say something, but I just forgot it right there. So you got that weird sentence. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.